The following program is brought to you by PodcastOne Sportsnet.
Football season is here. Looking for a place to make all your football online wagers? Then head to betonline.ag and use promo code PodcastOne to receive a 50% sign-up bonus when signing up today. betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts and the exclusive partner of PodcastOne Sportsnet. All right, you guys probably heard I recently did my very first DDPY workout with Dallas, and I was blown away by how much I loved it. And I made a commitment to stick with the program for a couple of months, and I'm still going strong. I've been doing my regular workouts with the DDP Yoga Now app, and I am feeling like $1,000,000. If you don't believe me, just check out this who's who list of folks DDP has helped out with this program. Scott Hall, Gold Dust, Chris Jericho, Edge, Jake Roberts, AJ Styles, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Fish, Tony Schiavone, and Podcast One's own Chael Sonnen. Listen, Dallas is so positive that you will absolutely love the DDPY program, and using the DDPY app, that's going to give you 7 days free to try it out. Now listen to me. That's a week to try the program, explore the app, and own your life, and it's completely free. And you're going to need a week because there's so much awesome content on the app, instruction, workouts, recipes, motivation, everything you need to get on track. DDP Yoga can work for all ages, all weights, all fitness levels. It is a total kick-ass cardio workout that will dramatically increase your flexibility, strengthen your core like never before, and it's all done with minimal joint impact. Just for listeners of the Steve Austin Show, you can save 20% off an annual membership for the DDP Yoga Now app, which now features DDPY Rebuild. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin to get started. And check this out. My man Dallas is hitting the road August 23rd in Altoona, Pennsylvania at the Altoona Curve Game for Pro Wrestling Night. August 24th through 26th in Indianapolis for the Horror Hound Weekend. And go ahead and start planning to attend the biggest DDPY workshop ever, happening September 1st at StarCast in Chicago, Illinois. Tickets for the workshop are on sale now. Get more details at ddpyogaworkshops.com.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I'm coming to you from the great state of Nevada. I'm at the Broken Skull Ranch 2.0 here in the Silver State. Interesting time down here, very interesting time. We rolled in a couple of days ago, got settled in, flew my nephew into Reno, picked his ass up, and I tell you what, man, all the California wildfires that are going on, a couple here in Nevada, but it's basically the wildfires in California, all the smoke's getting blown in here to Nevada, and Reno was really bad. I mean, you couldn't see shit. Now over here where we're at, not too far out of Reno, it wasn't quite as bad, but man, yesterday we went riding on the four-wheelers. Today we took the Theraworx and the brute force out early this morning on the BLM, the public land, and we got about 30 or 40 miles of riding and had a damn good time. But that smoke blew in so damn thick, and just breathing it just kind of makes you not feel so great if you're kind of exerting yourself, gets in your eyes. It ain't worth a damn. I told my nephew, I said, Neil, man, let's load this shit up and spool it up and get out of here. So we hauled ass back to the house and doing some a list of honeydews for my illustrious wife, Kristen. I think we're going to try to put my skeet thrower together. And I don't know what the regulations or rules or laws are out here, but we wanted to go shoot some skeet. Bought a bunch of damn shotgun shells the other day in Reno. Got my shotguns ready, so I don't know. Got a battery for my skeet thrower. I'm going to put that thing together. I don't know what the I'm going to find out, because where we're shooting at it ain't nothing but a bunch of rocks. But I don't want to start a damn fire myself, man. I'd feel like shit if I did that. It has been challenging, so we got a couple more days over here in Reno before we head up to Napa and then back down to the mean streets of Los Angeles, California. It's been a good time to spend some time with my nephew. He's headed over to Texas A&M University here in a couple of weeks. Well, he will be a freshman. He graduated near the top of his class from Ganado High School down there in South Texas, and it's about 9 miles away from Edna, Texas. It was funny because the Ganado Indians and the Edna Cowboys, we were we weren't always in the same division. They were mainly 2A, we were mainly 3A. But anytime we played Ganado, man, it was the Cowboys and the Indians, and they were a big rivalry. So he graduated from there. I'm so proud of him. He's heading over to Texas A&M, and he's got his head on straight. He's just a damn good kid. He worked with some rice farmers out of El Campo. No, they were out of Ganado this year. They got about 30,000 acres they farm over there, and he was out there all summer long driving a lot of badass equipment, learning a lot of responsibility. All of his agriculture classes, his welding classes, and all that stuff. He's a real handy guy. So having fun hanging out with him. I'm showing him the ropes. And, man, I tell you what, man, we went out yesterday and just tore it up on those four-wheelers. And, you know, the terrain out here is so much different than that flat stuff out in South Texas. It's just really fun riding, and we've been having a blast. But anyway, I got a few more days with him. We're having a good time. The dogs are having fun out here. We've got plenty of room to roam around. I just wish his smoke would get out of here. And I give a shout out here to all the men and women out there trying to get these fires put out. I hope they're out there, you know, working as safe as they can. And the fires are no joke, man. Fires are no joke. So shout out to all the firemen and all the women out there that are trying to put this shit out, and hopefully they'll get it put out and we'll get some clear skies up in this mug. Hell, you know, it's a couple of months. I'll be out there chasing antelope. Not even a couple of months. Next month, it's damn near August. Well, it is August. And next month, I'll be back over here doing my first ever antelope hunt with my brother-in-law, Mitch. I got my antelope tag from a landowner. I got my mule deer tag coming in December, so I'm looking forward to this hunting season, and it's coming right around the corner. My brother-in-law, Mitch, has been out scouting for Nevada Hunting Services, his business, and, man, I tell you what, he's probably, if not the best guide in the whole state of Nevada. He's in the top 2, and I get a chance to hunt with him once again, and we shot a hell of a buck last year in Winnemucca, outside of Winnemucca, rather, and that was an absolute thrill. So hopefully we'll be back at it and we'll be successful, but there ain't no guarantees in the hunting world. And that's what makes it so fun out here in this big country. And I'm really enjoying having a place out here in Nevada. My heart will always be in Texas. That's where I'm born and raised. But I made a segue over here, and we're really enjoying it. But I'm looking forward to it cooling down. In August, the temperature's probably going to drop about 3 or 4 degrees. And then heading into September, we'll kind of start getting on the home stretch towards cooling off. And our first winter up here was a little bit of a shocker because we didn't think it was going to be this cold. We were used to South Texas being 90 degrees in December, but we are ready for it this year. We're ready for a change in the weather. We're ready for it to get cool. But anyway, enough of me flapping my gums. I got one more story for you. Man, I was rolling through this town the other day called Minden, and I needed some protein powder. So I said, man, let me stop at that little shop right there. And I stopped in and I bought a tub of protein. I started talking with the guy that owned the store, and I went on about my way. A couple months later, I was passing through there again. I stopped in and got me another tub of protein powder, and we started talking nutrition. And this guy's a competitive bodybuilder. His name is Brodie Priestly. He's just a kid. Kid's 25, 26 years old. And we started talking about lifting weights and nutrition. And this guy's he's a real smart cat when it comes to numbers and nutrition and stuff like that. Man, when I rolled back through, I said, hey, man, what about doing my podcast? And we'll just talk about it. Everybody's talking about doing keto diets. Everybody's talking about getting lean and skinny and getting a beach body. I said, man, let's talk about building some mass and training and stuff like that. And he said, all right. So my guest today is Brodie Priestly. He's a young man out of the Reno area. Former powerlifter, bodybuilder, played some football in high school, and we're shooting the breeze, and we're talking about putting on size and mass on today's podcast. And if you're looking to put on some muscle mass, I get emails all the time at questions@steveaustonshow.com. Steve, how do you put on mass? Man, shit, I don't know, but you're fixing to find out if you listen to the podcast. So it's going to bottom down to working your ass off in the gym, going heavy, putting in the work, being consistent, eating enough calories. and we'll break that down for you. Before we get to Brodie Priestly, hear me out about ButcherBox. I'm out here at the Broken Skull Ranch 2.0, and before I left the mean streets of Los Angeles, California, I packed up my ButcherBox products and my ARB cooler to cook up on the ranch, and let me tell you, last night I busted out a couple of those big-ass grass-fed ribeye steaks, put them on my brand-new grill, put my grill on 500 degrees and cooked them medium rare, and they were flat out awesome, and that's the bottom line. Listen to me. ButcherBox is high quality, healthy protein you can trust. It's 100% grass-fed and finished beef, free-range organic chicken, and heritage breed pork, prepared old world style so that all of that fat and flavor is intact. The price is just $129 per month. That's less than $6 a meal, and shipping is free nationwide, excluding Alaska and Hawaii. There's no commitment, and you can cancel easily at any time. For listeners of the Steve Austin Show, get $20 off plus free bacon in your first box by going to butcherbox.com and using the discount code STEVE at checkout. Again, that's $20 off and free bacon. That's right, free bacon at butcherbox.com with discount code STEVE at checkout.
From kickoff to the classroom and beyond, the Big 12 podcast gives you an inside scoop on the latest and greatest happenings in the Big 12 Conference. Join Chuck Cooperstein each week as they check in with the Big 12 Commissioner, Bob Bowlesby, and other guests to go over the best highlights and look ahead to the biggest events in the conference. The Big 12 is your conference, and this is your podcast. Listen free to the Big 12 podcast exclusively on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, and the Podcast One app. If you love the show, share it with a friend and leave us a rating and review.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
All right, I'm sitting here at the Broken Skull Ranch 2.0 in Nevada, the Silver State, talking to Brodie Priestly, who owns Peak Nutrition over there in Minden, Nevada. I was passing by one day, picked up a tub of protein. Me and Brodie started talking nutrition, and every time I go back, I pick his brain. So I figured, well, hell, might as well just have him on the podcast so I can ask him a shitload of questions and get the 411 on nutrition. Brodie, how are you today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, I'm glad you're here because, you know what, I've been talking to a lot of my buddies, and one of my favorite things to talk about is nutrition. And the thing about it is, I like to talk about it, but I don't really retain the information that well. It's like anytime I get on the program, man, I'll go to someone to help me out because, you know, I can read all this stuff in a computer, in a book, in a magazine or whatever, but when it comes to applying it to myself, I just don't do so well. So I always like to have someone help me out when I'm trying to tune up for a contest, or not a contest, but something, a show or something, just tune up in general for life. We started talking over at your store in Minden, and dude, you're such a wealth of information. I figured, hey, man, I'll pick your brain a little bit. Have you always been interested in nutrition?
I've always been interested in training. So actually, when I was a little kid, my dad was a world-class powerlifter. So even when I was like 4 years old and 5 years old, I would lay on the ground and pick up pillows and pretend to bench press. So I was always into training. I actually, kind of like every kid, I didn't realize how important nutrition was. So I was just focused on the training. Once I started to get the nutrition part down and eat, and I saw how fast my body changed, then I got hooked on nutrition. And now I'm actually more into nutrition than I am actually the training.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me about your dad. I know you were a military kid. What branch did he serve in?
He was Air Force, and my mom was Air Force.
Really?
Yeah, they both were Air
Did y'all
Force.
move around a bunch?
A lot. Every 3-4 years.
Like you
everywhere.
came from kind of like the Reno area, but where were you before that?
I was born in South Dakota, lived in Guam, lived in Florida, lived in South Carolina, lived in Reno. There was a time when we were in Reno, I think it was like in a 6-year time frame, we moved 7 times. I've moved a lot.
Man, tell me about your dad's powerlifting career. If in the service, he's a world-class powerlifter. Yeah. What kind of numbers was this guy throwing up, and what weight did he compete at?
Well, he was competing back in the 80s and I think 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and he was benching 540, 550, natural, raw. I mean, no bench shirt, no drugs, nothing. Just was really...
Dude, that's straight up stud there.
Dude,
How tall is he? What do you weigh?
He was 5'10", maybe 195, 225, somewhere in there. But he would go to the gym and he would smoke cigarettes in between his sets. He would just hit a cigarette, put it on the ground, lay back, bench 500 pounds, sit up, start smoking again. But he trained the right way. You know, he wasn't just some guy that just went in there and just was really strong. He did go in there and he was really strong, but he taught me something that you really can't teach people, and and that is intuition. He was really intuitive with his training. He knew just from the very beginning, like he would train, and then he would start reading these magazines and talk to people, and he found out that what he was doing was like the right thing the whole time because it felt right. And that's kind of what I do. Like I just do stuff that feels right, like just be intuitive.
What kind of, and we're going to get more into that when we get to the training aspect. Because, we're sitting here, we're talking about, I think today we're going to talk about building mass. Everybody always wants to talk about cutting up and getting shredded for a contest. And that's cool because I enjoy those conversations as well. But I thought we'd talk about either maintaining the same body weight or putting mass on specifically. But going back to your dad, man, with the smoking and training, what was his dead and what was his squat?
He got talked into doing a meet just because he was crazy strong. So I don't think he ever trained for that, but I think his deadlift, he did do one meet where he went to go pull, and it was still like 600 something. I mean, he was really strong.
Sounds like he's like just a workout freak and a bench press specialist.
Yeah, he was an offensive lineman in football, just had a really just mean attitude.
Did you got any brothers and sisters?
I got a brother. I got a little brother, no sisters. Yeah.
And you played sports in high school or no?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you play?
I played football.
What position?
I was linebacker, and then my last year there, the nose tackle got hurt, and they put me in his spot to kind of fill him for a second, and I just did really well. Ended up just staying there.
And then what kind of 40 times you crank out?
My 40 was terrible, but I had the most tackles on the team. I would get like 15 tackles a game, but my 40 time was horrible.
How horrible was it?
Dude, it was probably like a 5'3", 5'5". It was pretty bad. But from 10 yards to the left, 10 yards to the right, 10 yards back, and 10 yards forward, I was the first person there every time.
That day I can't believe someone's slower than me on a podcast. Dude, I was cranking out a 4.9 in South Texas. And the coach patted my stats when I went from JUCO to North Texas State. We was running 40s one time, and the coach said, "Williams, get over here." He says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Coach, we're running the 40. He goes, "You're running 4.9. I said, "Yep." He goes, "Your coach at Wharton said you ran a 4.7. I said, "Coach, I ain't never run a 4.7 in my life." He patted my stats, so I got someone on the podcast that was slower than me. This is my day. You just made my day, Brodie. But the thing about defense, did you like the contact?
Yeah. Yep. I liked anticipating when the ball was going, and the anticipation, and I was really mean too. I was kind of, nowadays they call it dirty. My dad called it old school.
Nah, dude, that's what we call a mean streak. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
You gotta want to hit somebody.
I was kind of
I like
dirty.
that Lawrence Taylor mentality. He's my favorite player of all time.
I knew all the spots on the body where your pads wouldn't cover, and that's where I would jam my palms.
Hey, when you got done with football, all through high school, because you set a bench press record when you were in high school, correct?
I was right out of high school, a year out of high school. Yeah.
And what'd you bench?
I don't even remember. I think it's still up. You can pull it up and find out. It was mid 300s. When I was in high school, my senior year, I benched 405. And then when I went to go do the meet, I was telling you about this, I didn't anticipate the negative part of the lift, so I didn't really train for that. So when I went to go do the lift, it was somewhere in the mid 300s. It came up extremely easy, but it came down it felt really heavy coming down.
Well, you're trying to control that weight because you can't get a bounce.
It's different.
A gym bench is a little bit different than a contest bench. So I think that's kind of what you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
So like you said, you were training 4 and 5, lifting pillows, starting light, and you ended up heavy. Well, when did you just really turn into a complete gym rat?
Really the second I started lifting with weights. So when I was a freshman in high school, I was one of those guys that, strength kind of came naturally to me, and I saw results right away, so I got addicted right away. I think the first time I went to go bench, I benched 185, and then within a month, I was hitting 200 pounds. I got strong fast, so I got addicted to it pretty quick.
Man, you seem like like an old soul in a young body when it comes to talking nutrition. You went to the University of Nevada at Reno to get a degree in nutrition, and you graduated with that degree, correct?
Well, the stuff you learn in college for nutrition doesn't apply to anything that we do. And so when you go to school for nutrition, that actually kind of jacked me up. I had to unlearn everything that I learned there. So when you go to school for nutrition, everything is regulated by the USDA, which is the U.S. Department of Agriculture, not the U.S. Department of Nutrition. So the people that are growing the food are telling you what to eat. Our food pyramid is literally upside down, and that's why I left school to go do my own thing, because I just didn't agree with what they were teaching people. I didn't think that everything that I do now, none of it is from what I learned in school.
So then where and who did you pick up some the bulk of your nutrition from? Because I know in our past conversations you've mentioned Chad Nichols' name.
Yeah, I've been really lucky to be around some really smart people. So I've learned from people I've been around. I've learned from doing it. You're going to learn the most from doing it. So I've learned a lot from just practicing stuff. I've read pretty much every book out there, but I've told you this too. I hate people that are textbook people. I think, a lot of the stuff you read, you can pretty much disprove if you just go try to disprove it. So you're going to learn a lot from trying things, applying things. I learned a lot from competing. I've had really good coaches. I've learned a lot from my coaches that I've had. I've had really bad coaches, and I've learned a lot from those people as well. It's kind of like a collective of just all this stuff over the last, 10 years I've been doing this.
Yeah, but I think also you have that intuitive nature that your father has.
Yeah.
Because, man, I've been studying this shit for years, and I ain't picked it up yet. I have basic concepts, but I kind of tend to stick to the blanket statements. Hey, man, too many carbs here or whatever. Mm-hmm. You're going to get fat, or this ain't good for you.
Yeah.
We were talking before we started rolling sound of some of the things you're doing right now, which is kind of not the norm.
Right.
But
no, what I do, some of the things that I do, people talk shit for, that I do. They say, oh, that won't work. And I'm like, really? Because my clients look better than you. So it does work. You got to be intuitive. Some things I do, I'm really good at, like football. I was really good at math. I was really good at diet, nutrition stuff. I was really good at. Doesn't matter how many times I shoot a basketball, I'll never be good at that, I don't think. So it was kind of just natural for me to catch on to this stuff.
Well, man, we're talking about putting on some muscle mass. This is your game. It's my podcast. You want to start off with the nutrition aspect or the training aspect of building mass?
I go to the gym and I people watch a lot and I see everybody training the wrong way. So let's talk about the training aspect.
Let's do it. How so? How are people training in the wrong way?
All right. So when you go to the gym and you train, you have to think what causes a muscle to grow. And then when you go into the gym, you have to do that. You want to train in a way that's going to cause a muscle to grow, because not all training is going to get your muscles bigger. Ultra runners work their legs like crazy. They don't have big legs and they work really hard. So not all training will get your muscles bigger. So if you look at, the different kinds of muscle fibers you have slow twitch fibers, you have fast twitch fibers. Obviously, the fast twitch fibers are the ones that you want to train. Well, you can break it down even farther than that, and you have different kinds of fast twitch fibers. You have fast twitch type 2A, fast twitch type 2B, and those are the ones that you want to target and you want to train. So you have to know how to target and how to train them. So type 2A fibers, that's what most people train, and those will grow theoretically around 25% in size, and everybody's got different genetics for this, but that's, a pretty rough estimate. That's kind of accurate. So your type 2A fibers, how you train those, because you do want to train them because they'll grow. So how you train those is basically in, a rep range of 6 to 12, maybe a little bit higher than that or whatever, but in that range. Now, those fibers will grow, but type 2B fibers will grow 100% in size. So if you want to get really big, you have to train type 2B fibers. Now, type 2B fibers are very difficult to target because they're very big, so they only come into play when you're pushing really hard. Like, you have to really just maximum out. You have to go to failure, and I mean real failure, like where somebody is grabbing the bar off your chest. You can't do another rep. When you're going to failure and you're using this heavy weight, if you think about what's going on, if you can't do another rep, that means that you recruited every single fiber in that muscle and there's nothing else for you to grab onto and for you to use. You hit everything. You worked every fiber. So that's how you want to train. You want to train to failure. You want to train extremely hard and you want to train to failure. So type 2A muscle fibers, they're beneficial. They're a little bit different. Type 2A, those are red cell fibers. They're red cells because they have a lot of blood capillaries. They get you a really big pump. And that's what everybody goes in the gym for. They go in there for the pump, and they're focused on the pump. What I'm focused on is going to failure, right? My pump might not be as good as what it used to be when I train. It's still pretty good, though, but my growth is a lot better. So the type 2A fibers, I mean, you do want to hit them. It's good to hit them. What I'll do is, like, if I'm doing a bench press, I'll start off like I'm doing 8 reps every set. So I might do 8 reps the first set. The next set, it might be easy. The next set, I'll add a little more weight. Then I'll add a little more weight. Then I'll add a little more weight. And then I'll work up to where on my last set or my last 2 sets, they're completely to just absolute failure. Once you hit that point, you're done. You just move on to the next exercise. I don't do a lot of volume. I maybe do 24 sets of workout. But when you're taking everything to failure this way, you can't do that a lot because you're just going to overtrain yourself. So I'll work up, every exercise to the very end where I go to absolute failure. Now, the number one most important thing when you're trying to get bigger is get stronger. So you have to train really, like, to overload your muscle and to recruit every single fiber in your muscle, you have to apply a lot of tension. And to do this, you have to use a lot of weight. If you look at what the purpose of your muscle is, it's to contract and cause movement and to support stability and posture. So when you're in the gym training, if you're trying to contract and you're trying to cause movement, and let's say, you do a 40-pound shoulder press, if your goal is 1 month from now to do a 60-pound shoulder press, to be able to contract and cause movement and generate more force, the size and the amount of contractile proteins in your muscle are going to have to increase. It just has to happen if you're going to get stronger. So the number one absolute most important thing is get stronger. Get in the gym, train, I do 6 reps, 8 reps, 9 reps, 10, 12, even if you're going 15, whatever. The point is to apply a shit ton of tension and go to failure. And if you rack that weight and you had 3 more reps in you, or if you're trying to just go real slow and just squeeze real hard to get a pump, you will grow because you're hitting type 2A fibers, and those fibers will grow. That's why people have grown, right? That's why people get bigger, because those muscle fibers still grow. But the type 2B fibers grow the most. Now, I think the most important thing that people have to realize with bodybuilding, because I say that to people all the time, and then what they do is they think that, now the most important thing is get stronger, but you can try to rush getting strong too fast, and that can fuck your whole workouts up too. So the point is to apply tension, right? Mechanical tension is what causes hypertrophy. Adding more weight to the bar each workout is a great tool for increasing mechanical tension. But the reason why you want to lift to failure and lift extremely heavy and try to get stronger each week is so you can contract and use more muscle fibers in, say, your chest. Well, if you try to get stronger too fast and you just go in there and you just say, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jack a bunch of weight and I'm going to try to get real strong and I'm going to try to lift a ton of weight, you might not recruit the fibers in your chest as well because you kind of cheat. Like a lot of people just try to get too strong. That's powerlifting. The point of powerlifting is to get under the bar, put your body in the point in this setup where you have the best leverage and try to lift as much weight as you can. A good powerlifter, after they bench, their legs will be sore because they use their legs. They use like every muscle in their body. With bodybuilding, it's the opposite. What you're actually trying to do, I should clarify this. What you're actually trying to do is you're trying to make the exercise as hard as possible first. So if you go to the gym, there might be 6 or 7 muscles you can use on a bench press. You're trying to take all of those out except for the muscle you want to work. So if it's your chest, you push your shoulders back, you do all these things to take everything else out of the equation, and then you basically, that is one way to immediately increase tension. So, getting strong and all that's important. I should say tension is even more important than lifting heavy weight. Heavy weight is a good way to increase tension, but what you're trying to do is take all the muscles out of the equation, make the exercise as hard as possible first, make sure you're isolating the muscle and you're doing what the goal is, which is to contract every fiber just in that one single muscle, and then from week to week, try to get stronger while you're doing that and do more weight each time.
Well, let me ask you this. If I'm training by myself, which I do, and you've got your training partner who's helping you get these extra reps or go to complete failure, what do I do as a one-man show to try to get those 2B fibers going on my bench press or my squat, my deadlift, my bent over row, whatever I'm trying to train? What's my best solution to that?
Yeah, training partners help a lot. But actually, I think for neither one of my shows, I had a training partner. So you're still going to be able to get some pretty good growth, even if you don't have one. I mean, you can set, if you really want to go all out with that, set pins to try to catch you, just train as hard as you can.
This high intensity stuff, the 2A, 2B fibers, high intensity training, Arthur Jones, inventor of the Nautilus stuff.
Yeah.
He came up with this concept many years ago. Mentor followed it. Dorian Yates followed it. You mentioned him as far as how you train before we started rolling sound. Does the high intensity and the volume go together, or will overtraining ever come into play here?
No, volume is important, definitely. I found that out. Like, you can't deny when you look in the mirror and you look better. So if you do something and you look better, you can't say that doesn't work. And if I take too much volume out, I shrivel up, I lose size, I have to have a certain amount of volume in there all the time. So as far as volume goes and training frequency, if you can train a muscle more frequently and add more volume during the week, I think the muscle is going to grow better. It's going to be bigger. So if you can train, like if you train your chest on Monday, muscle protein synthesis is going to increase for somewhere between 24 to 48 hours or whatever. So for the next 2 days, maybe even 3, but for the next few days, your protein synthesis in that muscle is going to increase. Well, if you only train chest once a week, you're only going to get that 2 out of 7 days, right? If you can add more volume to the week and you can train chest again twice a week, it's going to grow better. Anytime I'm a really big believer in training muscles twice a week because it just works. Like you said, you can't deny it when it works better, right? It definitely works better. I have actually tried. I have wanted to try to train one muscle a day because I thought it looked cool. I've tried to do that, and just the more times you train it during the week, the better it's going to work. So what I'll do for somebody, and now if you're a beginner, anything's going to work. You probably don't have to do this, but when you get to the intermediate and the advanced levels, you're going to have to train a muscle twice a week if you're going to want to get bigger. So what I'll do is if your Monday is chest day and your Thursday is shoulder day. Now remember, everything revolves around how much tension can I put on my muscle during this workout. If your Monday is chest, your Thursday is shoulder, I'll break those days in half. So say your Monday has 6 chest exercises, your Thursday has 5 shoulder exercises. What I'll do to increase protein synthesis during that week, and I'll take half the chest day and move it on Thursday. I'll take half the shoulder day and move it to Monday. So Monday will be, chest emphasis. Thursday will be shoulder emphasis. But instead of doing 6 chest exercises on one day on Monday, I'll do 3 there, and then, or maybe 4 there, and then I'll do 2 on Thursday. And then on Monday with the shoulders, I might do 2 exercises, and then on Thursday, I'll do 4. So I guess the volume is technically the same, but you're spreading it out throughout the week, and you're hitting it more frequently. And I think that's going to work better. Also, if you look at it from a point of tension, it's definitely going to work better, because if you're doing 6 exercises for chest on Monday, if you're applying these principles and you're training hard as shit, by the time you get past that 4th exercise on those last 2, how hard are you going to be able, you can still go to failure, but how heavy and how much tension are you really going to be able to use? Your chest is kind of smoked. If you do half your chest workout Monday and you do the other half Thursday, you can apply more tension to your chest than if you just try to do it all on one day. So what I'll do, as far as the volume and the frequency goes, I'm high intensity and I'm also high frequency. I actually train 4 body parts a day. I actually train 3, like yesterday was abs, glutes, hams, quads, calves. The day before that was chest, shoulders, bis, tris. So I'll actually do 4 body parts a day. And then I just break the volume up to where if a normal person has a back day, chest day, shoulder day, arm day, leg day, I will do just as many sets as they do, if not maybe a little bit more, but I'll scatter them up throughout the week. So I'm hitting everything more frequently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You can totally apply more tension to your muscles that way too, because you're kind of hitting them when they're fresh. They're not just, you're not smoking the whole thing and then what are you going to do for the last 2 exercises? You're kind of fried. As far as overtraining goes, it depends on the person, like how many rest days they should take. I'm very lucky. I can pretty much train every day and I'll just constantly get better. And if I take days off, I think I actually go backwards. So I enjoy training. So that's kind of cool for me. I can train all the time. I think it depends on the person though. Like if you're a beginner and you're not really eating that well, or your nutrition, everything's not controlled, and nutrition isn't that good. If you try to train every day and then you back off and train 4 times a week, you're going to think training 4 times a week looks better or works better because you're not eating that well. So you're going to run yourself into the ground. You're going to gas out and get tired. If you took some rest days, you're going to allow the food you're eating, even though it's probably not enough, you're going to allow the food you're eating to fill your glycogen storages back up on the days you're not training, and you're going to look more full, and you're going to be able to train harder. And the number one goal is train harder. So for someone who's not eating the right way, they'll probably build more muscle training 4 times a week than they will training all the time, just because they're not eating enough food. If you're not eating enough food, train less. You'll get better gains that way. But if everything is controlled and you're eating enough, I think that needs to be taken person by person. So, a lot of people, and these are like top level guys that I've talked to, will say that if you're training this hard, I mean, everybody trains this way. The intensity thing, that's kind of like, everybody that's a pro or top level guy will train this way. What everybody seems to say is if you're training this hard and you're putting this much intensity and this much tension and work and load on your muscle, there's no possible way you can do that 6 times a week. You're just going to get weaker. And the goal is to train harder, not be in, suffering from that. So some guys will say, no, you have to train 4 days a week in an off season. That works best. But then you look at Ronnie Coleman, who trained every single day, and he's the greatest of all time. And, he has the best genetics of all time too, which I'm sure that allowed him to do that as well. But there's a lot of other guys that do that too. Like, it's just different from person to person. I was out in Missouri the other weekend with Chad Nichols and Keith Williams, and Keith Williams is 310 pounds in the off season. So this guy knows how to build muscle. He's huge. And if you saw his workouts, dude, oh my God. Like, that's why I say don't be a textbook person, because a textbook person would say, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. I read in a book that you have to do this much and you have to take this much rest and you can't do this and you can't train a muscle every day. You can't train 4 muscles a day. If you look at their workouts, what they do, those guys do not believe in overtraining. They're nuts. Like Keith's workouts, we got to the gym. His first day there, I asked him, like, what are you training? He goes, oh, today's my light day. It's going to be 2 hours long. I'm out of here in like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And I was like, what are you doing? So the beginning of his workout, he started every single workout with pull downs, pull ups, triceps, hip abductors, hip adductors, and abs. He did that every single day at the beginning of every single workout. He did like a full workout before he actually even trained. Now, granted, he's 270 pounds pre-contest, 300 pounds off-season. So, that guy really needs to warm up just to warm up because he's so big. So that probably helps him because just how massive he is. But at the same time, he's doing 8 sets of back. He's doing triceps every single day, and they're growing. So is he overtraining if he's growing? You really got to take it person by person. I've tried rest days. I've tried 4 days a week. I've tried every day. For me, I do better training every day. My employee at my store, her name's Valerie Winkler. She's a total badass. Like, this chick looks amazing. She trains every single day, 2-hour workouts. And if she does anything less than that, her physique just doesn't look the same. It doesn't look as good. So I think as far as rest days and training frequency, training a muscle more times a week is usually going to be better. If you're a beginner, it probably doesn't matter, but I think that's pretty much always going to be better just because you can apply more tension to your muscles during the workouts if it's designed right. And as far as rest days go, just find out what works good for you. I think everybody should try to train as hard as they possibly can and get away with as much as they can get away with.
So time between sets.
I've done different things and, they all worked. What I'm doing right now, just taking as much time as it takes for my heart rate to get back down to where I can train, to where I can lift really heavy again. Because the amount of volume that I'm doing right now is pretty low. So if I don't train extremely hard, it's just not enough volume. So what I do right now is I just take rests, just enough rest to kind of...
So you're not timing yourself. It's when you feel ready to go again.
When I feel ready to go again.
Okay,
yeah.
Then what about with respect to, are you a believer in supersets, giant sets, drop sets, etc.? Yeah,
they're all great ways to overload your muscle, right? So everything's about overloading your muscle and causing tons of tension. So yeah, those are awesome. Supersets are good. I do a lot of drop sets. I'm not doing any supersets right now, but they work really good for me pre-contest. Right now I'm doing more drop sets and negatives.
Well, with respect to tension, which you keep speaking about, Charles Poliquin and his time under tension being 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, totally. So like what I do right now, I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I missed that when I was talking about the 2A, 2B fibers. Time under tension is extremely important. So tension is important. Failure is important. Recruiting every single fiber in the muscle you're trying to train is important. The best way to do that is with weight, but also with good form, where, you make the exercise harder first, then you add weight. And the time under tension thing is extremely important. So I saw a dude on Instagram the other day, and I hope he doesn't watch this, and he was leg pressing like 16 plates. I mean, did it ridiculous, like more weight than I've ever done in my life. He was just doing a ridiculous amount of plates, and he did 8 reps, which is what I do. But my legs are like twice as big as his, and I'm watching him do this leg press. He did 8 reps. I counted it. He did it in 9 seconds. Like, what is that going to do? Like, is that? I mean, yeah, you got a lot of weight on there, but are you really putting as much tension on your muscle as you can? Like, weight is really important, but tension tension is the most important thing. So which weight can increase that, but tension is the most important thing. So what I'll do is I'll do like 3-second negatives, 4-second negatives, just because it forces you to put, I mean, dude, if you do a deadlift and you're doing a 4-second negative, tell me if you feel more tension in your back doing it that way. Yep. You're going to feel more pull in your back. So I'll do a 3 or 4-second negative, and then I'll do less than 1 second contraction. You know, on certain exercises, I'll hold it for a second where I'm in the stretch position. A rep for me takes 4 to 6 or 7 seconds. You know, if I do 10 reps, it's going to take me 40 to 60 seconds. If you're doing 10 reps and it's taking you 10 seconds or 11 seconds, you're not doing it right.
Okay, I'm not doing it right because, hell, let me see, I just got finished training back today, and, man, on my negative portion, starting with the deadlift and Meadows rows to my dumbbell rows and my shrugs and stuff like that, man, I think my descent is probably a second to 1.5 seconds max. Is that slow negative really going to kick my ass better?
I like it. Like I've done, like I haven't done it that way. I haven't done it that way the whole entire time. So, like, you know, the shows, if you look up my pictures from when I competed, I wasn't doing 3 or 4 second negatives then. Now I was training with all the same things I'm talking about now. I was doing really, really high intensity. My rep ranges, I mean, we're anywhere from low to 12 to high. I mean, kind of all over the place. I didn't do a bunch of negatives then. So everything works if you're training hard. I mean, if you leave the gym and you knew that you trained hard, you're probably going to get, you know, some changes from that. Everything works, but just give it a try. I like it better.
No, but I love, out of the 33 minutes we've been talking so far, as long as you know you're training hard.
No, absolutely, yeah.
You got to train hard, bottom line.
Just train hard.
Hey, here's something I've been trying to figure out. Why can a car park itself these days, but we have to drive across town to take a test drive when we want to try a new car? Why can we get approved for a mortgage in lightning speed, but buying a new car takes an entire day? And why aren't there enough cup holders in my car when I actually need them? Well, our friends at Hyundai have wondered about all those things and are making it all possible now with the all-new Shopper Assurance that includes flexible test drive that comes to you, transparent pricing for convenience, streamlined purchase for efficiency, and 3-day worry-free exchange. The future of car buying is now available in the present. Car buying made easier is now possible with Shopper Assurance. Visit HyundaiUSA.com for all the information. One more time, that's HyundaiUSA.com. And if you end up getting a Hyundai vehicle, you're going to need some car insurance. Go to Geico.com, and in 15 minutes, you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. That's right. Save hundreds of dollars on car insurance at Geico.com. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today. All right, if you're looking for a sports podcast to go along with the Steve Austin Show that will expand your mind, then check out Revenge of the Jocks with Martellus Bennett, new to PodcastOne. Join Super Bowl champ Martellus Bennett as he covers a broad spectrum of what it means to be creative, to be an activist, and an overall culture-shaping world changer. This cat's no one-trick pony. Listen free to Revenge of the Jocks with Martellus Bennett each week, exclusively on Apple Podcast, PodcastOne.com, and the PodcastOne app. If you love the show, share it with a friend and leave a rating and review. We'd really appreciate that. All right, listen up. It's a wild time in the gambling/betting world, so we here at the Steve Austin Show are proud to announce that BetOnline is the exclusive partner with PodcastOne Sportsnet. These are our go-to guys, the guys we trust for all things betting, lines, odds, wagers, inside info, you name it. And wouldn't you know it, we are right in the middle of baseball season. If you want in on the action, then betonline.ag is your main destination. Head over to betonline.ag and use promo code PODCAST1. That's PODCAST and the number 1 to receive a 50% sign-up bonus today. One more time, betonline.ag and use promo code PODCAST1 and start winning with your online sportsbook experts.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Talk to me about cardio during a bulking phase. None whatsoever?
No, you know what? I actually like to do it. So when I design anything, when I design my nutrition, my training, how I organize things, I'm going to keep saying this. The number one goal is train hard, right? Is to train hard. I like to do 15 minutes of HIIT 3 times a week in an off season. You know, not because it helps with nutrient absorption or, you know, whatever. I do it because it helps me train harder. Like if HIIT what I'll do is 15 seconds on, 45 seconds off. For women, I do 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off. Probably doesn't make a difference, but I'm super OCD about some things. So if I do 15 seconds on, 45 seconds off, it kind of mimics like what you're doing in the gym, which is stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. And I'm getting my heart rate up extremely high during those 15 seconds and bringing it back down. It kind of mimics what happens to my heart rate when I'm training. So if I can do 15 minutes of HIIT twice or 3 times a week, not for the fat loss, not for the nutrient absorption, for the training. When I go lift weights, I'm going to be able to lift more.
I kicked in my cardio. I'm pretty much doing the thing as you, but not really doing HIIT, but I'm trying to decrease my time to 200 calories burned on a salt air bike every single time I get on it. So I'm constantly trying to get better. And I've noticed since I put the margaritas down and all the bullshit down, dude, I've been over at the gym, you know, right down the road, and I'm in there like selling a hangover and all this other stuff. So when I eliminate that, when I kick in my cardio like I've done now, I can train harder. So I totally believe it, and I'm doing it about 3 to 5 times a week. I'm backing down to about 4, so I'm right on schedule with you as far as the cardio goes. Let's just say I got a shitty back. I can't do any pull-ups. I can do 2. And then I'm starting to struggle. Bad back. I'm trying to bring a lagging body part. Tell me about that.
To bring up weak body parts, I think it's good to dispel the myth, first of all, that a body part can't grow, right? Like, you might have crappy genetics and, you know, you may never look like Phil Heath. The way your body's shaped is the way you're going to be shaped. You can grow more and kind of fill out into that shape. But I don't think a body part won't grow. Like, if your shoulders aren't growing, but your arms are growing and your chest is growing, something's wrong. Because really, physiologically, those muscles are going to be the same. If your shoulders aren't growing, 99% of the time, it's because you're doing something wrong. Other muscle groups are kicking in and helping when you're trying to do that. So if you apply all the principles from before on the type 2A fibers, type 2B fibers, you know, mechanical tension and all that, and take all the stuff out that's going to assist you on that muscle, if you apply all that, you can really get any muscle to grow. If one muscle is going to grow, all of them will grow. You're just, something's off there.
My back ain't growing. What do I need to do?
Okay, so I was talking to Danny Hester about this, and he said something that always stuck with me. He won the Olympia. He was the classic physique dude for Olympia last year. Because I came to him with the same bullshit. I was like, dude, my back, like my lats don't come down low. And I see these guys that have these lats that just hang down really, really low. And I'm like, how do I get my lats down there? And he said, dude, your lat, where it inserts, everybody might be different, but it might only be up or down and different by like an inch. So the whole idea that your back won't grow or that your lats won't come down low is not true, because where they insert is pretty much the same on everybody. So when you're training your back or when you're training your calf, the most important part of those reps is the portion where you're stretched. So like if you're doing a calf, you know, you're doing a calf raise, being down in the bottom from the stretch position, that half of the movement is more important than the top half of the movement. And the same with your back. So when you're training your back, you come all the way forward, stretch your lat all the way out, and then come all the way back and get a really, really hard contraction on it. And it'll grow more when you do that. And try those 3-second negatives on deadlifts too. That works really good.
Dude, what kind of weight you got on the bar when you're doing a 3-second negative? They get my back has been through some bullshit.
My pulls suck. I'm not as strong. Man, I don't know.
One thing I can't stand is the guy that jumps up on the pull-up bars and just starts repping and he gets 15 or 20 and just got a back wide as about 4 foot wide. I'm like, really? And I was always the kid on the playground back in before junior high. You always had that ectomorph. Yeah. You'd go over to the pull-up bars and rip off about 30, and I'd get up there and get 6. Yeah. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, I'm supposed to be the baddest dude in the school. I can do 6 pull-ups.
It's weird how genetically you can be real. Like, I'm really strong on anything that's pressing. Like, my squats are pretty good. My bench is really good. My shoulder presses are really good. I'll shoulder press seated with dumbbells, like 160s in each hand for 12.
Right.
And then I'll bench, 405 for 8 or 10 and squat 6 or 7 plates. But then I go do deadlifts and I hit like 4. Yeah. But I got a good back though. It's all about the tension. I'm just trying to get stronger each week. Genetically, I'm just not mechanically set up for that.
You got to train hard. We know this.
Yeah.
You got to train smart. So the intuitive part of it's got to come into play. and you got to figure out what works for you, because you might be able to train everything a couple times a week, and other people may be able to do the same thing, but not everything we're talking is going to be a blanket statement, and it's going to pertain to everybody. So one of the things that you kind of harp on is you have to learn yourself from what you can do in the gym standpoint and from a diet standpoint, because we're fixing to jump into the nutrition part of it. As far as nutrition goes, and you're trying to get stronger and grow, how do you go about figuring your macronutrients as far as protein, carbs, and fat? Because you got to eat to grow.
It's really good what you said, to just learn what works for your body. You know, not get caught up in a box, confined by rules. I did that in the beginning of my training, where I would just read all these books, and I thought that, you know, I had to do this or I had to do that, and it just really limited me. A lot of the stuff that I do as far as like my macronutrients and how I eat and how I train go against what people have said, but they work better. If you're looking at like foods, you know, we'll start with protein, because that's arguably the most important one. So as far as protein goes, it's the same thing with training. When you go into a gym, you want to think, what causes a muscle to grow? When you sit down with a plate of food, you want to think, what causes muscle protein synthesis and what prevents muscle protein breakdown? Because at any point of the day, you're in one or two of these phases. You're either in a phase of muscle protein synthesis or you're in a phase of muscle protein breakdown. And you got to control this. So when you sit down with a plate of food, we know that eating protein increases muscle protein synthesis. We also know that you have to eat at least 20 grams of protein per meal to increase muscle protein synthesis. So whether you're a tiny little girl or whatever, you have to eat 20 grams of protein per meal. Now, the other thing too is this protein has to be rich in essential amino acids. So you can't do it with broccoli. I see this on Facebook all the time, where people are comparing broccoli to chicken and how broccoli is better. It's not the same shit. You can't eat 20 grams of protein from broccoli. You can't look at a bagel and say, okay, there's 10 grams of protein in this bagel. I ate 2 bagels, I'm good. It has to be at least 20 grams of protein that are rich in essential amino acids. The second thing, when you eat protein and you stimulate muscle protein synthesis, you go into what's called refraction, or into a refractory period. So when you eat protein and you spike muscle protein synthesis, to eat protein and cause muscle protein synthesis again, you have to wait for it to come back down to baseline, and then maybe even go into a point of muscle protein breakdown before eating protein again will help you. So you can't eat protein every hour for the entire day. I see a lot of these guys that just don't know what they're doing. And I saw one dude, he was 185 pounds. His coach had him eating 450 grams of protein a day. It's just past a certain point, it's not going to benefit you.
You're not recommending 20 grams of protein a meal.
No, absolutely not. I'll get into that too. This thing with the food, right? The protein spiking muscle protein synthesis. The refractory period is kind of interesting, because showing that if you eat a meal with protein and then 1 hour later protein won't increase muscle protein synthesis, that you can apply with like branched chain amino acids. If you eat a meal and then you think drinking BCAAs in between your meal is going to build more muscle, it doesn't do shit. But leucine is the limiting factor. So if you have more leucine per meal, you're going to increase muscle protein synthesis more for that meal. So what I'll have some guys do is drink BCAAs with their meals. And that's going to actually spike muscle protein synthesis more. But having it between the meals or eating protein every hour, you have to do what's going to benefit you. And if it doesn't do anything at all, just don't do it. So as far as how much to eat, because I'm not going to have a guy eat 20 grams of protein a meal, when you get past a certain point, the more protein you eat, and really the more leucine and essential amino acids you have in that meal, the more you're going to increase muscle protein synthesis. Once you get past a certain point, adding more protein is not going to increase muscle protein synthesis anymore. For a regular guy, I'd probably have them around 40. For me, 50, 55, or 60. For someone like you, 60 to 70. You know, like it's going to go up the bigger you get. But if someone's trying to grow and they're at 40 grams of protein a meal, and they say, okay, I want to grow, I'm going to bump my food up to 60 grams of protein a meal, that might not even increase muscle protein synthesis anymore. You know, once you get past a certain point, doing more protein is not going to benefit you. For protein, if the goal is growth, I know for a fact you can grow on 1 to 1.2 grams of protein a day per pound of body weight. And, you know, if you're extremely overweight, those numbers might be skewed, you know, for the average person, I guess. I know you can grow off that because I've seen everybody grow off that. I also think that more protein is going to be better to a certain extent. Compared to most bodybuilders, I would say I'm more of a high carb, moderate protein guy. Compared to the average everyday person, if they saw how much protein I eat, they would consider it extremely high. Someone like but compared to other bodybuilders, not so much. Like for me, I eat between 250 to 300 a day, which is a lot to an average person, but not a lot to some people that compete or that are bodybuilders. Like right now, what I'm doing is about 600 grams of carbs, 250 protein, 300 protein. I'm almost doubling my protein with the carbs.
Dude, you're 600 grams of carbs?
Yeah.
Where are you getting them from?
Oh, that's a good question. So what I'm really big into is digestion. You have to absorb the food that you're eating. When your calories start getting up there and you're eating more food and you're eating more calories, especially with clean food, that can get very big. And if it fucks your digestion up, it's not doing you any good at all. I do a lot of white rice because it's really easy to digest. I also do a lot of bagels, English muffins, and cereal. Just because it's easy on my stomach, it's easy to digest. It doesn't take up a lot of room in my stomach, and it allows me to kind of get my calories up there and hit my calories.
Dude, that's a shitload of rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so where are you about high glycemic index and all that stuff? Or is that more something for someone who's really trying to control their weight or trying to cut weight or has a problem with high glycemic foods?
Well, we know that physiological levels of insulin do not make you fat. Physiological levels of insulin will not make you fat. What will make you fat is eating more calories than what you need. If your carbohydrate demands are only 200 and you're eating 400, you're going to get fat. If your carbohydrate demands are 200 and you're eating 150, you're not going to get fat. So physiological levels of insulin will not make you fat. What's going to make you fat is calories. So over high glycemic, low glycemic, eat what you feel the best with, eat what digests the best, when you eat a meal, you'll know if you can train better with it, if you feel worse with it, if you feel better with it, if you look better with it, just eat what feels good.
Dude, what are you doing for your meal prep if you're eating 600 calories a day? Because you're a single guy. I know you got a girlfriend. I was a single guy for a long time. Man, I just lived on a caveman diet, man, protein and a carb. But, man, I wasn't eating, 600 carbs a day. What are you doing for your meal prep to keep all your shit ready? Because I know you ain't out eating at a bunch of restaurants.
No, I just cook it all.
Every day?
So, I mean, this diet that I'm talking about, like if I'm doing 600, that's with the 6 meal a day diet. I told you what I'm doing. It's a little bit different. With what I'm doing right now, it's kind of a weird diet. I eat out a lot more, but yeah, I've always cooked all my food. I've always prepped everything. Well, yeah, pretty much prepped everything and cooked all my food.
Where does fats come in on this list?
Okay, so
low fats?
Yeah.
Especially if you're high carb.
Yeah, especially if you're high carb.
Because if you're going to be high fat, you're going to be low carb.
As far as fats go, I think every macronutrient is equally important. Proteins, carbs, and fats all have a purpose. They're all equally as important. The difference is the amounts of them that you really need to eat for performance and for growth. So for me, I think it's higher on the carbs for a lot of reasons that we didn't even go into, but fats, there's a lot of benefits to fats. Like fats can help decrease inflammation, which is going to help trigger muscle protein synthesis. Fats are going to also help with hormone levels, Fats are going to help with insulin sensitivity because it's going to slow down how fast the carbs leave your stomach and hit your bloodstream and spike your insulin and crash your blood sugar. So there's benefits to fats, but I think you get all of those benefits if you're a guy. Your fats only need to be about 50 grams a day.
Where are your protein sources coming from? You doing the lean chicken thing, lean proteins?
Yeah, red meat, if you can. Red meat is probably the most nutrient-dense meat there is. So I'll do like flank steak. I'll do lean cuts of red meat, like flank steak. I'm really big into timing foods that digest well. Like my whole thing is, training hard and digestion. As far as the nutritional aspect goes, I'm 100% into my focus is digestion. So around the workout, I'll probably do some white fish or something. After the workout, I'll eat white fish, but we know if you add some leucine and some BCAAs to that, you can spike muscle protein synthesis even more. So I might do some white fish and a protein shake. The rest of the day, I'll do steak. I drink shakes too. Like, as far as protein goes, people think that protein powder is not a good source of protein. Protein powder is a great source of protein. I probably have 2 or 3 shakes a day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the most times I hear people talk about just because the thermic effect of digesting a shake is lower than it would be to digest a piece of chicken or some steaks.
Yeah, I think calories are going to play the biggest role in everything.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of a bullshit thing. But
yeah.
So that protein is equal to an animal source.
I got down to 3% body fat on 2 shakes a day, 4 meals. So I don't think it's going to affect it at all. I think it's calories in, calories out. And shakes, actually, they digest really well. There's really good times to use these things. Like, there's probably times where a shake might be better than a meal just because of how they digest. So, like I said, my whole thing is digestion. What I've really been getting into now is fasting, because I had a lot of GI problems, and fasting basically saved my life. Like, it fixed all my GI issues. So what a lot of people do, I was telling you this before we started, what a lot of people do is they'll eat, their whole thing is, let's eat foods that digest slow before we go to bed. And we're going to keep the amino acid levels stable all night while we sleep. And we're going to eat stuff that digests slow and add peanut butter and shit. What I like, that's the perfect time, in my opinion, to have a shake. Drink something that's pre-digested, that's a really good source of protein. Drink it, no peanut butter, none of that crap that slows it down. Get it through your stomach and out of your stomach immediately. So when you go to bed, you're fasting. And that way, when you have food in your stomach, you don't want food in your stomach while you're training, because the blood has to go to your muscle. Now the blood's going to your stomach. It's just, too much work for you. You don't want food in your stomach while you're sleeping for the same reason. When you're sleeping, you want to rest. You want to sleep. You don't want your body to be having to break down and chew food. So a shake is like the perfect time to have a shake, is, in my opinion, right before you go to bed, because it digests, it gets out of there quick. Your stomach can clear out while you sleep. You can fast while you sleep. It's going to help with digestion. You're going to feel better in the morning. I fucked my whole digestion up from eating food at night and waking up in the middle of the night to eat again. And a lot of people do that. They eat at night. I would set an alarm at 2 a.m. I'd wake up, make 2 cups of oatmeal, pour protein powder in there, and just drink these big sludges, and then go back to sleep.
That sounds like a bomb.
Oh, dude, I jacked my stomach up from pushing a lot of heavy foods at night.
So
that's what jacked my stomach up, 100%.
Where are you as far as, well, I know you're in the branched chain amino acids. What about creatine, para-workout drink, pre-workout, during the workout, post-workout, carnitine for cardio, supplements that you believe in, that you take, that you need? I know there's
creatine for sure.
They're not all necessary.
Yeah, creatine for sure, 100%. Yep. Whether you're trying to gain weight or get lean, creatine is awesome. Like, it's probably even better if you're trying to get lean, because your calories are restricted, you're in a deficit, you don't have that much stuff for your body to make ATP to train hard. So you can supplement creatine, which doesn't have any calories. It can help your body produce more ATP, and you can train harder. I've actually even seen studies where using creatine can increase the amount of calories you burn every day. It can actually increase, it can, if anything, I think it'll help. I'm really big into intra-workout shakes too. The literature on that is, if you look into it, and if you do it. So, I talk a lot about studies, but I also say don't be a textbook person. If I ever quote a study, it's because I've actually done it. And it worked better for me, or it worked better for somebody else. So if you do these intra-workout shakes, if the first day you use them, you will be like, holy shit, I can train way harder. So I'm really big into intra-workout shakes. Like, there's different kinds. I'll explain that in a second. But as far as like timing all this stuff, the intra-workout shake, we know that you can only absorb 1 gram of glucose per minute. So I see some people, they follow these formulas, and they're just like, yeah, I'm going to have this guy do 25% of his carbs intra-workout. He's eating 600 grams of carbs a day, so he's going to do 150 grams of carbs while he trains, because that's what this book told me to do. Well, if his workout is 60 minutes, how the fuck is he going to absorb that? So, you can only absorb 1 gram of glucose per minute. So if your workout is 60 minutes long or 90 minutes long, that's what you get. Now, we also know that if you add fructose into the equation, that becomes 2 grams per minute. If you add caffeine, it's 3 grams. If you add salt, you can even do more. So what I have people do a lot of carbs intra-workout. I'll have some guys doing like anywhere from 100 to 200, depending on how big they are. If you're like you, I'd probably have you do 170 or something. If you're doing 170 during the workout, yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Yep. So if you're doing with some BCAAs, with some creatine, if you're doing 170 grams of carbs during the workout, your workout's going to be, I train for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. Let's say an hour and a half, so 90 minutes. What I would have you do, I have ratios that I use that sit well in my stomach. I'll talk back and forth with clients and figure out how they feel with it, how it sits in their stomach. I'll use a little bit of orange juice. I'll have them take some caffeine while they go train, do things to help them absorb those carbs better while they're training. For me, cyclic dextrin works really good with a lot of people. I got a funny story with Chad Nichols about that. That's what he had Ronnie Coleman use for his 2003 Olympia. That dude is so smart, man. Like, nowadays, cyclic dextrin is $11 a pound. I sell it in my store. Back in 2003, there was no such thing as cyclic dextrin. Chad Nichols got the idea that he found some special laboratory to take potatoes and put them in a centrifuge and spin them down. And that was the only carb Ronnie Coleman was allowed to have for the last 2 weeks of his 2003 Olympia. But it wasn't around yet. They were spending $200 for 2 pounds. But the guy's like, this just makes sense. Let's do this.
I was reading this on your Instagram account. You really believe that you're able to train harder by drinking that while you train?
Try it. Yeah.
I will try.
Yeah, 100%.
But to continue on, other supplements that you feel are necessary. We covered creatine, a protein powder, branched-chain amino acids, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you a carnitine before cardio guy?
Yeah, L-carnitine's good. L-carnitine's good. DIM is really good with women as far as like regulating their estrogen levels and stuff. Beta-alanine, citrulline malate, those are both really good. Vitamin C with zinc post-workout is really good. Most of my stuff, that's pretty much probably all you need. All
right, let's talk about the post-workout meal / drink. Is it a drink or is it a meal? What's more important there? Carbs?
Yeah, carbs are real important. So I put the majority of someone's carbs post-workout usually.
But dude, if you're drinking however many grams of carbs you're drinking during your workout, are you ready to get more carbs after the workout?
Well, for a really extreme bodybuilder, they're probably taking things before the workout that's going to push everything in their muscles. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Duly noted. Thoughts on sodium / salt intake?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, it's extremely important too. I'll do, Chad, actually, they showed me that out in Missouri. They do a 1/4 teaspoon of pink salt before they work out, and you get a sick pump, and your workouts are way better. You got to have salt when you train. That whole, like, no salt thing, that came from, dude, the problem with supplements and the problem with nutrition and food is nobody cares. Like, everything is market-driven. Nothing is science-driven. All people care about is what can I sell. They don't really give a shit about what the truth is. So that whole no salt thing caught on from people that were trying to sell low sodium meals, that were trying to sell low sodium foods. And it just got really big, and then it's still kind of stuck around. But you got to have salt if you train. It's essential.
Okay, as we know, you got to recover from all these workouts. So recovery for growth, so you can train again hard, rest, sleep. How many hours of sleep do you get a night? Because I sleep 4 to 5 hours a night, and that's max, just because I don't sleep worth a shit.
Yeah.
How much sleep can you get?
Right now I sleep pretty good. When I was prepping, I would probably get 5 to 6 hours a night, and I was just run down all the time.
Well, some of these pros, I mean, they'll sleep all night, and then they'll work out, and they're able to, because they're pros, get another hour or two during the day.
Yeah, no, everything revolves around training hard, and if you're not sleeping, you're not going to be able to train as hard. Actually, not sleeping will probably affect you like that day. Like if you get 3 hours of sleep or 4 hours of sleep that night and you go train, that'll affect you that day. Not eating carbs usually won't even affect you until like the next day. But sleep, yeah, totally. I just didn't sleep. Like, the number one, man, the number one most important thing is just train hard as shit and follow your diet. I've done preps where I just did those two things and I really didn't sleep that well. And I came out looking great. I'm sure it held me back and I'm sure it limited me, but the underpinning factor in everything was just have a really sick work ethic.
What about water intake? If you're taking in all that food, you got to have some water in there to get everything going.
Yeah, what's really interesting? So, like I said, I'm really big into digestion. I heard somewhere from someone that they said they don't drink water with their meals because
I've heard that from a lot of people because you're diluting your stomach acids.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Around the meals, damn right.
Yeah, and while I train too, I can drink probably close to a whole gallon of water while I'm training. And then also, if you're doing 170 grams of carbs into a workout, that's going to be a sludge unless you dilute it in like half a gallon, Right. I can probably drink half a gallon to a gallon of water while I train and it's just no problem. I think that's actually good for people to do. I think people should weigh themselves when they get to the gym and weigh themselves when they leave the gym. They need to weigh more when they leave. Drink a ton of water when you work out.
The last note on your piece of paper that we didn't cover was the best diet. Tell me about the best diet.
I wanted to talk about this because this keto diet is getting extremely popular, especially in this town. You'll catch on if you stay here. Like, dude, everybody.
Well, I've been on the keto diet, and I know you go keto. Won't you get ready to get for the stage?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Tell me about this fever.
First of all, the best diet is one you adhere to. So the best diet is one that you have to lose weight, you have to be in a caloric deficit, and you have to constantly be in a caloric deficit. So you can't do it 30% of the time or 50% of the time. So the best diet is going to be one that you just adhere to. You have to be in a caloric deficit. Protein has to be high enough to maintain lean body mass. Once you do those two things, you can do any of those diets. All of those diets work. I've carb cycled, I've high-low dieted, I've done intermittent fasting, I've done keto, backloading. I mean, they all paleo, they all work. You just have to be in a caloric deficit. And you have to adhere to it. You have to follow the diet. So do one. Like most of the regular, everyday, average Joes that walk in my store that ask for a diet, I give them an intermittent fasting diet because it's probably the easiest one for them to follow. The most important thing is just follow it. What's been going on with this keto diet, keto and paleo, like those kinds of weird diets, what they promote is, and I'm a fan of keto, but what they promote is completely getting rid of a certain nutrient. And that's where it screws people's heads up, because what will happen is someone will cut out all their carbs and then lose weight. And then the next step is to think, well, if I cut the carbs out and I lost weight, if I eat carbs, I'm going to gain weight. And that's not true. You know, the most important thing is just be in a calorie deficit, and then just do a diet that's going to work, that you're just going to be able to follow.
My thing was with the keto diet, man, if you jump off the keto diet and go back to what you were eating before you started the keto diet, and you jump all back on your carbs, and you were below 50, I was below 25 net carbs, and you jump in and start taking in 100, 150 carbs a day, 100, 150 grams of carbs or more a day, dude, you're going to rebound.
Yeah, you're going to blow up.
You're going to gain everything back.
Yeah, you're going to blow up.
Or if you're like me and it's margarita season, you're damn sure going to, get it all back.
Yeah, so to reverse somebody out of a ketogenic diet, like eventually the goal is to get back to, if you're trying to grow, the goal is going to be to get back to where you're on a high carbohydrate diet, because carbs are going to support training. Carbs are going to prevent muscle protein breakdown. They're going to spike insulin, drive nutrients. If you're only allotted a certain amount of calories in a day, you have to look at that and think, how can I maximize everything? And it's going to be with higher carbs. The goal is to get back to that. You can't just jump back into that after doing a ketogenic diet, because you're just going to blow up. So what I'll do, it's like to reverse out of a show. If I do a keto diet for a show, and like I said, I've done all of them. Carb cycling worked really good too. I just do keto because I just like it. I just enjoy eating fats and it tastes good and I feel good. But if I reverse out of that, what I might do is I might just add a small amount of carbs around the workout perimeter and just slowly bring them back. So like I might go from eating 0 grams of carbs to eating 80 grams of carbs post-workout. And then eventually I'll go to eating, 150 grams of carbs spread pre, intra, post. And then the outside meals will just have like proteins and veggies, or maybe a tiny bit of fats, like just a little bit. And then you got to slowly taper back up out of that. Because if you're right, if you do like a keto diet and you just try to throw all your carbs back in, you don't really need that many carbs because you're so sensitive to insulin. Like when I fill up for a show, the amount of carbs that I eat is so much lower than what I see a lot of people doing, because you just don't need that much.
So you said right now you're eating 600 grams of carbs because you're trying to grow, correct?
All right. Yeah, 550, 600.
Okay, in that neighborhood. But you also like keto. So left to your own devices, if you were not going to compete, would you keep carbs in your diet, like maybe 300 a day, or would you just go keto? Same caloric amount. Would you go carbs or would you go keto?
Yeah, you could look at like health benefits of different diets. Like, some nutrients are going to cause inflammation and stuff like that.
I'm not an inflammation guy. I always hear people talking about carbs, giving them inflammation and all this other stuff. I'm not that guy, so I can't understand it.
I'm not that guy either.
Right.
So, like, if people are going to say carbs cause inflammation, look, carbs cause inflammation when you eat way too many of them. So, if your calories are controlled, yeah, I don't really buy that. This should be a lifestyle. So, if you're going to stay on it forever, just do what you enjoy doing. I enjoy eating a shit ton of carbs and then just lifting really heavy. So, I'd probably just stay with what I'm doing.
Hey, man, where can people find you on Instagram, your Facebook page, and your website, and because you do coaching and consulting, and you make diets, programs for people, how can people contact you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Brodie_Priestly. That's my personal one where I do, the diet plans and nutrition and coaching. I post a lot of really cool free shit on there too every day. Like, not every day, but I try to. I'll post, training and just workouts and tips and exercises. My Instagram is where the majority of my training and my nutritional stuff is. And then that's Brodie_Priestly. And I have another Instagram for my page, for my store, and that's Peak Nutrition, Minden, Nevada. I have a Facebook for Peak Nutrition, Minden, Nevada, and then a personal Facebook. Between those 4 places, I'm always posting something about training and how to eat and, what to do.
Hey, man, you won the Nevada State Championships in 2017, and in 2016, you won an event over in Lake Tahoe. It's 2018 right now. You got your sights set on another contest?
I don't know. I don't even really know when I'm going to compete. I usually just get big and then just 8 weeks out, just jump into something. So there's a show here coming up in 9.5 weeks. I don't want to say I'm going to do it, because if I say I'm going to do it, I have to do it. But I'm kind of been thinking about it. I'm not sure yet. Man,
I'll get, on a pretty good kick, and I'll hit the weights pretty hard for a while. Then I'll slack off a little bit. But yeah, ultimately, I love lifting weights. I love being in shape. But I also, when I was wrestling, I kind of looked at I was a professional athlete. The outcome was determined, but I was a professional athlete. So I kind of lived like that. I always trained, very active, in the ring, on the road, kind of a truck driver as well. But also, I was that rock star. I like to live that lifestyle. So I was living a couple of lifestyles in one body. Now I'm a civilian. I'm just trying to, look good and be healthy. What is your motivation? Because you were talking on your Instagram page, and you said, this is about meal prep. You said that whole life is busy and hectic is an excuse. Trust me.
Yeah.
I doubt many people work more hours a week than I do, and yet I'm able to with a lot less free time than most. I don't say that to boast. I say it to tell you it's an excuse. People use that excuse because it takes more effort to try than to not care. It's not that it's really impossible. It's just that they don't want to do it, and it's easier not to. So don't give up on eating clean and getting all your meals and just say, screw it. Whatever you tell yourself will happen. If you say you can't, then you can't, and you'll never look the way you want to. If you say you can, no matter what, then you can, and you probably will. So my question is, what's your motivating factor? What's your motivating force, or your words of wisdom from a young cat that you would tell people getting in the gym?
Keep the end result in mind. You got to have a goal. I'm really big into the law of attraction and visualizing stuff. And you can't do anything without a goal. Everything I've ever done in life started with coming up with a goal. So sit down, write it down. Writing down a goal, you're going to be way more likely to do it. So if your goal is, I want to lose 40 pounds, it's going to start by you sitting down and writing that down on a piece of paper and put it where you see it every single day. Keep that end result in mind. Now, a lot of people, like how I got addicted into this stuff was from seeing results. So, and you will too if you see results. Like if you go to the gym and you're losing 3 pounds a week and it's been, 6 weeks and you're down 20 pounds or whatever, you're going to love it. So hiring a coach helps a lot. Hiring a coach also kind of holds you accountable too, because now you just paid some guy money. So you're going to kind of have to follow through with it, and you're going to have to at least try to do it. So what I would do is sit down, write a goal, picture what you want, think about what you want, think about how you want to look every single day, and have somebody there that knows what they're doing to help you so you're not spinning your wheels. I see people that have been doing these ketogenic diets now if you go on my Instagram page and you look at the clients I had this girl on there that was like 47 years old, and holy shit, dude, her transformation was just absolutely ridiculous. If you have somebody that knows what they're doing and you're getting results, you're more likely to stick with it and stay with it. I've seen people that just do diets forever and they just never see results, and they think it's impossible and get discouraged. So I would say just visualize what you want, make a goal, write it down, and then contact somebody that can help you get there.
And that's the bottom line, because Brodie Priestly said so. Hey, man, good talking with you.
You too.
Recently on The Producer's Guide.
Why are they letting you make these movies?
Check out Todd Garner's interviews with Rob Riggle.
Semper Fi's Marine Corps motto, Semper Gumby, should be the producer, always flexible.
Marlon Wayans.
My dad's not funny. He's really annoying. My mom curses him out, and that's where we found out comedy.
And Eli Roth.
I liked 16 Candles and Ferris Bueller, but I was waiting for the nudity. I hated those movies. I thought it was the death of cinema.
The Producer's Guide with Todd Garner. Every Thursday on PodcastOne and Apple Podcasts. Remember to rate and review.
Before we wrap this show up, let me ask, are you one of the millions of Americans who suffer from muscle cramps in your legs and feet? Well, listen up, because relief is finally in sight. Theraworx Relief is a topical foam that's clinically proven to relieve muscle cramps fast, and with daily use, Theraworx Relief can even prevent muscle cramps before they start. The results speak for themselves. Theraworx Relief is the real deal. Theraworx Relief is a life-changing product, and best of all, you don't even need a prescription. It only takes minutes to apply, absorbs quickly, and it really works. Theraworx Relief is my choice for preventing and relieving muscle cramps. Get Theraworx Relief today at select CVS, Rite-Aid, and Walgreens Pharmacies, or at TheraworxRelief.com. That's TheraWorx Relief.com. All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap this podcast up and ride off in the sunset. Before I do that, I want to thank my guest, Brodie Priestly, for coming out here and sharing some knowledge in 411 about putting on some muscle mass. Good talking to you, Brodie. ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin has all my shirts for Broken Skull Ranch, bottom line. And another bottom line is I got a badass beer for you in the form of an IPA, and it's Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing Company. You can find it at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in Southern California. If you ain't in Cali, you're probably shit out of luck. And if you're looking to get a badass pocket knife, I got two for you. A Cold Steel Broken Skull knife and a Cold Steel Working Man knife. You can get them both at my new Amazon store. Amazon's got the best price on both knives. Just go to Amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin, or go directly to the Cold Steel Knives website and check out all their badass products. I want to say one more thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show, especially DDP Yoga, Hyundai USA, Geico, BetOnline.ag, and Theraworx. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. Please support them because they support us. If you need more info on my sponsors, check out the show description to this episode for details. Until next time, folks, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.